Call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start with the minutes of the regular board meeting, April 24th. Everyone's had a chance to take a look at it. Any concerns? Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting April 24th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Then we'll move on to the approval of the general fund vouchers 74,552 through 74,588. Wire transfers 161,70387 through 161,70410. And activity fund vouchers 2760 through 2796. I'll entertain a motion of the general fund vouchers as read.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Public comments section. Did anybody write their name down? Then we will move on to our spotlight on education.
Okay, so today's spotlight on education is just an overview, a review of the Earth Day, the Earth Day presentation or Earth Day activity that we have in the school district. Mr. Gillis and Mr. Peterson are going to present on it. But before they do, in my role, I know as a superintendent and then also as a parent, this day is absolutely remarkable to see what our staff, what all the staff members do in the district, and then what all of our student population at the elementary all the way up to the high school. Really what goes on in a school day, you will not find any other district in the state of Wisconsin that truly does what we do in this district. It was neat to see, and from a parent, last year I got to see it, but you know, I said this about a lot of things. Last year was a bit of a blur for me with a lot of transitioning into the district and getting to see and really move throughout the district and then throughout the community a little bit. It was really, it really truly is something to see. And you, as a leader of the district, you know, when I first heard about it, you kind of hold your breath and say, oh, okay, we'll see how this goes. And you know, you just, your biggest fear of different things happening throughout the day. But once you really see everything kind of come to fruition and all of everybody's involvement, it's really something to watch. And I was truly impressed with you know, down at the lower level, the elementary building, they do some service learning, Earth Day, and then also just some really fun activities. It's kind of a combination of those three pieces. And then at the high school, it's more of a combination between kind of Earth Day and service learning type projects that the high school kids put on. And then some of the high school kids go into the elementary and just provide assistance with providing opportunities for the elementary kiddos. So really fun. I mean, my own two children were faces painted and glowing smiles from ear to ear coming home, and the high school kids are full of dirt and full of different who knows what when they get done with the day. And you just see a lot of different projects that get completed throughout the district and in the community. So my hat's off to everybody in the district, staff and students, on you know, just watching that day kind of unfold and the whole process of it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Peterson and Mr. Gillis to share out on Earth Day.
Okay. On the big screen, the planning team from this side was these people: Mr. Transtad, Mr. Larson, Mrs. Blanchard, Mrs. Prusak, Mrs. Carlson, and I. A little bit about the planning team. When I first came last year and I experienced my first Earth Day, I too kind of had the deer in the headlights thing on Mrs. Blanchard and said, you got to plan this, you know. What? You know, because I knew how big it was. And then I looked at the pile that Mr. Smith left me. He said, this is your Earth Day pile. And, you know, and I'm kind of a digital guy, so we kind of moved all this stuff to a digital format. But these people really made it happen over here. We met regularly. We had a lot of meetings. We got together, did some planning, got new ideas, reached out to community members. It was a lot of fun. We had an excellent team to help plan this thing. Students begin early in the year by doing a survey, an interest survey, where they fill out their name and address, or name and first name, last name, what grade they're in. We have different service areas that they can be part of. They can work on raking and landscaping and videoing, and they can work in the community center. They can work on cemetery restoration. There's all kinds of projects they can pick from. They rank their top 3, and then that feeds a huge spreadsheet. And then I might be getting ahead of myself, but then we do a draft. Staff members, this used to be a process that Mrs. Blanchard took like 2 or 3 days to make the teams and assign the kids and all that stuff, and we pulled this off with this Google document in a little over an hour and a half. We had all the teams made. Our basically team leader staff members, they pick from the list of kids, and we tried to get every student at least their first choice or at least their second choice. Out of all basically 300 kids in the building, they got either their first or second choice this year. So we find that the engagement is very high when you get to pick what you want to do. And then we used a Google Doc and we did a draft. And Mrs. Carlson is our Google Doc wizard over here as far as creating different things with Google. So that draft went really well. Then we plan RAP group meetings. RAP is like our end of the day hour where we have meetings for community or for clubs, other resource time for students. And we also use it for helping to plan our Earth Day activities. So they get in their groups that we've made from the draft. They meet with their team. They do team building fun activities to kind of build some camaraderie on their team. They do their planning, who's bringing what for their activity, rakes and shovels and things. They also do the community outreach portion where they're calling the people in the community that they're going to be working with and make a connection there. So if they need additional resources, that community member can help out with that, bring those kinds of things like a truck to haul stuff or tarps or all that kind of thing. And then they arrange some snacks for themselves. You know, what teenage kid doesn't need a snack when they've been working for an hour or so. They do that as well. Just a few of the events that we did out among the community, all kinds of stuff. And like Mr. Ernst said, me being not a Clear Laker as a kid, I just had no idea how we pull this off, but they do so many tremendous outreach things in the community. You can see just around the building here, we're doing some landscaping, putting in some trees, things like that. Working on ball fields and doing a pitching thing out back for the softball field. There's just all kinds of good stuff we're doing. Lots of trees around the perimeter of the property. Lots of evergreens that we planted last year and we did some maintenance on this year. Most of them wintered very well, so it's nice to see the green spaces and the greenery coming along. We had teams that go over to the elementary and help with landscaping around that building and kind of keep things looking sharp around here. And then they're out in the parks in the community, lots of raking, cleaning up cemeteries. Mr. and Mrs. Rube will do some kind of restoration things for the displays for the veterans. Kids working down at the community center and the museum, dusting and cleaning and organizing and making new labels and just all kinds of cool stuff that really help out Clear Lake. So next we're going to watch the video. That's Neil Larson, our tech ed teacher. They have those students out in the community taking pictures of all our teams working, so we got a little PR video at the end, and then we have a celebration in the gym and kind of wrap up the day. After we have a picnic lunch that another Earth Day team helped the kitchen prepare to get ready, so people who have food service interests, they got to participate in something they were interested in. I don't know if you want to watch the whole video, it's 8 minutes long. Yes? No? Yes? Okay. I uploaded it to my YouTube channel this morning so we could watch it from there. And it kind of runs as a slideshow. We're sliding through slides. Wow, that must be a record. 5 bags at once.
Yeah.
Want that guy working on my team. Down in the parks, we have all kinds of kids raking. You wouldn't believe how many pine needles are down there. Truckloads. We lucked out on weather again this year. I don't know, I'm 2 for 2. I probably jinxed it, but haven't had to reschedule one yet. Mr. Peterson keeps assuring me that'll come. That's the softball field where they did a bullpen basically. Kids working down in the museum. first came to Clear Lake and Mr. Ernst got here, Mr. Weiss gave us the behind-the-scenes tour of the museum. Is that ever cool? For a community our size to have a museum like that. There's a lot of history there. Mr. Sargent's team started the trees last year. Thanks, Grandpa John, for all the trees. Yeah. It looks fantastic out there.
Thank you.
You bet. We got some maple trees on the ball field up by the baseball field, so future shade coming. A lot of our teams go to the elementary and do some programming for elementary students. I have to give Ms. Prusak kudos on that one. She stepped up to be our liaison with the elementary this year and work with the elementary teams to get things planned. First time for her to do that. I was always amazed how much green space our community has for parks. Pretty sad to see all the damage that got done in the last year in the storm out in the camping area. A lot of trees down out there. They do a water study down at the, Mr. Keller leads a science water study out is the marsh the right word to use there?
I guess, yeah.
Wetlands? Some wetland study. Oh yeah, yoga. Was that new this year or last year?
No,
Last
done that for a
year.
few years.
Okay.
3-4 years.
Something new, Mr. Hughes is kind of a project guy. They made these tire chairs, and they're actually quite comfy to sit on.
Where are they?
They're in his room right now,
Are they?
last I saw. Yeah, I heard they were gonna maybe go out to the ball fields. Kids really seem to enjoy building those, and pretty durable. You know, they're not gonna fall apart in a year. Lots of landscaping going on around. Mr. Pearson, Mr. Blanchard's group did an outstanding job over there at the elementary, freshening things up for the new spring. Spread about two full
Yeah.
pallets of
Yep.
bark mulch, pretty much. Mrs. Carlson started a new recycling process. We're going to look at in the building rather than just doing paper. We want to make sure we can start doing containers and other kinds of recycling in the building for glass and plastic that we don't currently do. She could have spearheaded that. The kitchen crew that provided the picnic lunch, so they get to help out with food prep that day. Always kind of picture those that are new to raking. They kind of stand out in the crowd. They pitch in. Coming. Every year we have people call with new ideas or jobs that they'd like help with. Unfortunately, we can't get to all of them, but we get to a lot of them. And then we try to move those that we didn't get to back to the list for next year. Swedish, you see how they spelled that? 2 E's. Somebody always has to try every transition. Mr. Erickson takes the team out to the golf course to help get that ready. I should say Coach Erickson. because one of those that helps organize the carnival for the elementary students. I've not been able to get away to go see that.
I think this year was one of the best ones. That they've done.
We've kind of discovered that as we do our planning and our team meetings earlier, we can plan more and get more organized. Did a bunch of setting up an assistance for the community play over there, moving things around and helping get ready for that. They had not just a pallet, they had a truckload of mulch over there that they moved. It was a huge pile, like a small silage pile. Every year we get a lot of compliments from the community as far as the effort and the work ethic of our kids and get out there and help and volunteering, and it's really nice to hear that about our students. They're helping with restoration on projects and name tags for pictures and captions for pictures, that kind of stuff.
Did we have any graffiti that we needed to clean up this year around town?
I didn't hear of any.
Because we used to do that, Chris, didn't we? We used to
Yeah,
have a little
well,
bit.
we can talk about that.
You used to do graffiti?
No.
That was one of the things when we, were first developing concepts for Service Learning Day. That's one of the ideas behind it, is that when your kids, take a stake in their community and go out and fix things and clean things and take care of them, your incidents of graffiti go down. And it's been true. I've seen it. I mean, for multiple years, the kids have gone to the tunnel that goes underneath Highway 63, and they would paint over the graffiti that was down there. There's no graffiti in there anymore. Nobody does it. They just don't do it because they know, well, that's going to be one of my buddies that's going to be cleaning that next year. It might be me cleaning it next year. We've had some graffiti, in the past around town, and we had our Service Learning Day kids go clean it, and it just cuts way down on it because they take ownership in the community. It's pretty powerful. So I remember all the things. So here's some of the. And many of the pictures, might be a little repetitive, but I just didn't go through some of the slideshow of what's on the Facebook page. Some of you guys have maybe seen this from the elementary pictures we snapped. But it's, first off, too, I got to give, you had the high school teachers committee up there. I got to say, Karen Olm, I got to give her a ton of credit for. She's very passionate about it and kind of heads up the efforts at the elementary. Certainly doesn't do it alone. Everybody, all the staff, pitches in and takes part in some of the planning, but she really does a lot to help out with that and to lead that. So, but yeah, the origins of it, you made me think of this when you started out with, the fact that, this is the home of Gaylord Nelson and the beginning of Earth Day. When I was first at the high school, the story I was told, it was probably about 3 to 5 years before I arrived here, but there was an event, and I believe his daughter was here and spoke to the student body, and one of the things she kind of threw out there was, well, what do you do for Earth Day here? And there was crickets. And so some people said, well, maybe we should do something about that. And so there was a grant that was applied for the year before I got here, and we got the grant, and then we, started undertaking the planning of it, talked to other schools who had done similar things, and it was really a kind of a leap of faith. Like you say, you think, okay, you're going to take all your kids and send them out in the community. Some people thought, it's kind of crazy. It's a little bit of a leap of faith, but the kids totally stepped up, and every year they just do a phenomenal job. They work so hard and take a stake in their community, and it's probably one of the most powerful days ever as an educator for me was that first year that we did it. It was just awesome, just very powerful. So, but it's neat too, having been at the high school for a few years, and then I'm just going to And now being at the elementary and seeing it from both sides, that's been pretty neat. And to see my own kids go through it, and then it's really cool this year to see so many of the high school kids come into the elementary. They experienced it from that end, and now they're over there working with the elementary kids. It's really neat for them, and I think it really enhances what they do because they know what it's like on the other end, and they really want to do a good job for those elementary students. So these are just a bunch of random pictures snapped throughout the day. We had a potting plant station. This was some of the landscape work out front, weeding and mulching. The Amory Women's Club comes over every year, and they give kids recycled materials, and then they make sculptures, and they use their creativity, and they work in teams, and they have a certain amount of time, and they come up with creative sculptures, and then they have a contest. This was an outdoor physical moving game related to the environment. We do Locks for Love every year, so we have people donating hair. This was a second grade girl who donated 8 inches of her hair at the assembly. Here's more of the creative teams doing the sculptures, recycled sculptures. Activity in the library, junior kindergartners. We had a book exchange, so people bring in recycled books, and then every kid gets to pick a book or two to bring home. Those are all donated, all brought in, or they're old ones from our library that are discarded. Here's more of the recycling carnival, recycling fair in the gym. So all the materials come from recycled things, and the high school kids come up with the games. They did a great job this year. Again, I thought it was, I don't know if the teachers would agree, I thought it was one of the best ones that we've had. Just really well organized and a lot of fun, and some new games, and just some different groups, kind of the yoga group that you've seen. Teaching kids about breathing, relaxation, face painting. Minnow races was a new popular game this year. Kids cleaning up out in the meadow. Picked up a lot of garbage. The pond study, Mr. Wazorik's got a lot of familiarity with that because he's been out there leading that or co-leading that many, many times over the years. Mr. Keller and Mrs. Schieffer out there. Planting seeds, minnow races again. Another presentation from the Amy Women's Club, or the landscaping crew.
Are those the T-shirts that we made here?
These are not the ones we made here. The elementary, we offered, we put it out there if people wanted to purchase it, but the high school, right, the blue ones, the high school
The blue
kids had
ones,
on
the
them.
pictures are.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, that was great.
We had just got our printing stuff up and running in time to run those.
We do an assembly at the end of the day too, just like the high school does. Reflect on the day, present some awards for the sculptures. It's got to be an annual tradition too, where the kids line up in front of the school, take a picture. That's pretty cool.
That's just the elementary kids.
That's just the elementary kids there. Yep. So
It'd
that's
be
all
kind
of
of
them.
cool to get all of them together.
It is.
sometime.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about having a matching shirt for the entire district. So I think that's what we're going to do
Yeah.
next year. And I like to say one thing, you see in the pictures is, all the reason it's such a huge success is, the staff aren't just posing for the pictures. I mean, when you walk around there, they're involved in everything. I mean, from every staff member in the district is involved in something and have their hands and participated in some way. And obviously our student body, is another reason why it was such a huge success and how they respond. So really a neat day. Thanks for sharing, you guys.
You bet.
If you guys have
Yeah,
any
awesome.
questions or...
It's nice to see it continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I wonder, these kids get put out in the community. If they hadn't, been a part of this, they wouldn't have never stepped in the Swedish cemetery or the
Right.
Right.
town cemetery or the different parts of the park,
Right.
Point Park,
When they get paired up with kids they don't necessarily hang out with, too, in their groups. They get paired up with a teacher that they don't really know, maybe, and that's cool. So it's just so many great connections. You get people from the community coming into the school and meeting kids, and they see all the positive things, and they see how well behaved and they, good things that kids do and how hard they work. And
There must have been a
Staff.
dozen adults in the community out helping in different raking sites, probably more than that, about 20, working
Yeah.
there with the kids.
It's a great day.
Nice. Well, thanks, you guys. All right. I guess we'll get down to business now then. Discussion of elementary open house.
Okay, so I'm going to have Mr. Peterson and some of the elementary staff share on some of the plans for next year at the elementary building.
You guys all have it. As long as we got some extras for our audience members here too, we might as well. This has been something that's been on our radar, and I guess something whose idea has kind of finally come. It's just been a priority that has finally gotten to move up to high enough of a priority to pull it off for next year. But looking at changing the way we do an open house and actually the way we would start the school year, especially on the first day of school, it's become pretty well common practice or best practice. I'd say most elementary schools do something like this. I'd say we're one of the few that don't. I've surveyed around the area, and virtually all the surrounding schools do something like this. But so we're talking about taking the first day of school and changing it to a day where parents come in with their kids, modifying the school day, modifying the hours to and this is just for the elementary school, modifying the hours to help accommodate more parent work times, but then making it a day where the parents actually bring their children in and do a lot of the beginning of the year startup stuff together with the kids. So just if you follow the document here, currently what we do, and I don't know how long this has gone on. I think as long as anyone probably in here can remember. I don't know longer than I've been here, but currently we do on the second day of teacher in service, we do a open house. It's relatively short. The new families are invited in for about a half-hour presentation, and then all the families are invited into the school, and it's just kind of a free-for-all. People come in, they bring their kids, they bring their backpacks, they bring their school supplies into the classrooms, get a chance to kind of quick meet or see their teacher at least, drop their stuff off. Some of them come down and pay lunch money and things like that. So it's just a very a kind of a quick shot that we do right now. It's good. It's got a lot of positives about it, but some of the things in that middle section of bullet points there, it's a very short window of opportunity. So it's definitely kind of a madhouse for about an hour and a half, and of course people stay beyond 3:30 typically. There isn't much of a chance for a lot of meaningful talk between the teacher and all the families that come in there. And also the disadvantages, and the teachers can attest to this, is you lose a half a day we only have a couple days of in-service, and basically they give up a half a day of it, because they're getting their rooms, really more than that, because they're getting their rooms ready for parents to come in and then spending the time, versus being able to do staff development or have more time to get ready for the school year. So those are some of the disadvantages of what we do. So why are we looking at something different here is, again, it's kind of best practice. It is best practice in most other schools that we do something like this, but we actually, when you consider how short of a time that the school's open, we get a lot of parents to come in. But there are always parents who call us and say, well, I can't come in, I have to work, or can I come in at a different time? And just from our observations, I would say, I asked the staff, what percentage, what would you guys say of your kids come in? We got 5th grade and we got kindergarten, and it varies between. What would you say?
Yeah, probably is fine. But I have had a lot of people say, well, I go to work at 1 o'clock, can I come in at 12? And so.
Yeah. About half. What would you say for kindergarten?
We get closer to 90.
Yeah.
95%.
So, given the fact that we only do this short one now, and that many parents commit to trying to come in, I think it shows that there's definitely an interest there, and that parents would want to do it. When we had the goofy start to the school year in 2014 with the new school, and we had to delay a week, we did expanded open house like this for probably 4 hours. I think it was in the evening, and we had a really good response to it. We had even more people come in. I think the staff enjoyed it a little more because it was a little less chaotic, because it was a longer period of time. So that also fueled the idea that this is definitely something we should think about moving forward with. I surveyed surrounding schools around the Seesaw back a couple of years ago, And at a meeting that I was at, and I just went around the table and just had everybody kind of share all the principals, what they do in their buildings, and I've got a document like that I can share with you if you want. But so the idea that we're planning to move forward with is a very similar idea to what most schools around us are doing. I mean, Amory, Clayton, Turtle Lake, our surrounding districts, they do something similar to this. And everybody's got their own little twist on it. You know, it's got to be what's right for your particular district and your community. But and you guys chime in here if I'm missing something or I'm saying something differently than what was talked about. But the idea would be, just kind of going through the outline here, that we would do it on the first day of school. Again, the work day for staff, 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, one or the other. Again, to go into the evening a little bit more and allow for parents to come in. We would not run buses for elementary students. We would run buses for high school students. So high school, junior, senior high would have a normal first day of school.
And that's because we want the parents to come with the kids, right?
Right.
We don't want the kids coming onto the bus
Right.
for the elementary for this particular.
We want the staff freed up to do the orientation activities and not have, a situation where they've got 3 kids who showed up without a parent and now they've got to be responsible for them all day. So we want them to focus on the parent meetings. So obviously, simple things that we can accomplish this day that'll make it really more streamlined. Mrs. Roble and Mrs. Johnson in the office are ecstatic at this idea because it would help them, instead of chasing down all of the paperwork at the beginning of the year and the permission slips and the forms and the computer acceptable use policies and all that stuff and lunch money and everything. Instead of chasing that down from parents for the first month of school, they can come in the door, fill it all out that day right on the spot. It doesn't get lost at home or forgotten to be turned in. We can certainly invite in community groups that would like to have a table set up, scouts, PTO, youth sports, that we would open the invitation up for groups to want to come in. Talked about the idea of maybe offering concessions or snacks. That might be more of a future edition if we don't pull that off this year, or don't do that this year. We'll kind of see. And then we had the idea, someone had a good idea of, give everybody a ticket as they come in, and it's got a checklist that they go around to get stamped, and then at the end throw it into a raffle box or something for some door prizes. Just to remind everybody everything that they should get around to do. Pictures. You guys want to chime in on why it might be a neat idea to do pictures on that day?
Because trying to get kindergarten kids through that line, and you got the ones who are,
Parents will be able to.
Yep. And
Yes.
okay, you get the picture the way you want it to be.
And as 5th and 6th graders, they don't want to just stay put. They want to go play for recess, and we keep them in because we don't want them to get messy, and so.
Yeah. We're hoping that by doing pictures on this open house style, it might reduce the number of retakes, the ones that parents are disappointed in. Oh, you weren't smiling. Why didn't you smile, Billy? Whatever. But there would still need to be like a retake or a makeup day still. So if that were to happen, it's not like it would be able to accommodate it. But
I think it also helps, in some parents' minds, it's going to help up the importance factor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have to go to that. That's picture day.
Yeah,
For a few people, they need something really concrete like that.
Yeah, that was kind of an insight we had as we were talking about it, that if we schedule pictures throughout the whole day, because we said, well, is everyone just going to wait and show up at 4 to 5 or 4 to 6? But if we schedule pictures throughout the day, I think that will draw people in throughout the whole day if they know that they can do that then.
and Cahill's had some good insight as far as like how to schedule it. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, they do it with area schools, most schools around, and so they've given me some really good feedback on how to do it and how not to do it, and so I'm working with them on that. So they've got some, and they're very flexible and very great to work with as far as however we want to do it. They've got some ideas no matter what we want to do, so they've been great. They're available that day, and they can also still come and do the other pictures for high school and retakes later in September like they normally do. There are different ways to do a day like this. You can have it be a totally open, free, open house day, come and go as you please. Some districts have gone the opposite extreme where they do the entire thing with every kid is scheduled and like parent-teacher conferences, and everybody comes at their appointed time. There are advantages to both, disadvantages to both. We're trying to do a model that we're going to plan to do a model that kind of fits both. Like the flexibility of open house, but yet we want to provide opportunities for one-to-one conversations if they desire it. And we also want to provide a venue for the teachers not to have the same conversation with 25 sets of parents, you know. So, so what we're planning to do is create a schedule, and I've created a mock schedule where we start the day, and each grade level would offer a grade level presentation in the first half of the day and the second half of the day. I would also offer a presentation in the commons or the gym 2 or probably 3 times throughout the day. So we publish that schedule. So if I've got a 3rd grader and a 5th grader, I can look at the schedule and see, all right, well, I'd really like to hit the 3rd grade meeting, the 5th grade meeting, and I don't need to hear the principal thing. My kids have gone to school here their whole life, but we want to get pictures at this point. So they can just kind of map out their day and say, all right, we're going to come at this time. Or you've got a new family, hey, I really want to hear what Mr. Peterson has to say, and I've got a 2nd grader, so we're going to come at this time. So we're going to have open house times in the rooms, presentation times in the rooms, and then we are also going to block off by grade level different individual conference times too, so that those parents who want to can sign up for, then go in through Skyward like they do now for PT conferences, and they can sign up for an individual one-to-one conference privately with the teacher. We might, because there are advantages in talking to other principals. Some good conversations have come out of some of those meetings where a parent can come in and talk about some issues with their kids that they really want the teacher to know about to start the school year, a mental health issue, or maybe a family situation, or maybe some health concern that's going on. And teachers and principals have just found it's been really advantageous to know that stuff to start the school year right from the get-go. So we're going to try to do a balanced thing where we can kind of hit all the different approaches there. What did I miss there? Anything that can you guys? What were some of the things we talked about sharing that you guys share at your grade level meetings? I mean, we putting you on the spot here. Sorry, but
5th grade's transition year. We have more movement between teachers, and assignment notebooks are huge, and so the way our discipline system is run. So definitely overview of all of that new stuff, not self-contained anymore. So parents want to know about that kind of stuff for us.
Just an overview of how that grade operates. So some, I think like in kindergarten, maybe like the homework folders and things like that. And maybe at some of the big projects, like in 4th grade, parents might give them a heads up that, hey, this is the year we do Festival of Nations. And just those kinds of, just a quick overview, I think, like half hour, I don't remember.
20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Not getting into deep curriculum or things like that, but getting into more just this is how kindergarten works. So this is how 3rd grade works. This is how we'll communicate. Let us know how you would like us to communicate with you. Or do you like a phone call? Do you like an email? Do you like the newsletter? What's best for you?
Or like this is like the homework system. I know I talked about the homework folder, but still, some grades do it where you have this much homework and it's due on Friday, and some, it's due daily, and just every grade is a little bit different. So
we use, and I should just give the background too. We used our school-wide Title I committee because there's representation from the different wings and the different areas of the school. We use that as a sounding board to kind of bounce ideas off and get feedback and kind of help make some of these decisions, and then shared it with the whole staff back in early April and talked through some of the ideas. And again, got a few more ideas from the real big group as well. Kind of got the concept out there. And I would say, am I correct, that there is some definite enthusiasm for changing the approach?
There's a lot of enthusiasm. The staff is excited at the idea.
I'm personally excited about it too. I think it's a small thing, but it's kind of a big thing to change it. Once we get it established, I think it'll just become the norm. So, just as far as where we're at, we wanted to make sure we brought up awareness with the board, and make sure that bounce the ideas off of you, and also just have the awareness so that when you see this change coming out there, we start marketing out, communicating it to parents, that you guys have an awareness of what's going on and why we want to do it. there's a lot of work to do in preparation, but it's all very manageable. Then do a lot of marketing, like I said, this spring yet before school gets out. We want to put a flyer together for parents and put a schedule out there. And then again in July and August, a lot more communication for parents to get prepared and come in. So, any questions?
I think it's a great idea.
Why didn't we do this sooner?
Yeah.
It is nice.
Yeah, it's definitely been on the radar.
It's nice from a parent perspective too. Sometimes things get lost in translation when you're communicating with your own young children when
Yeah.
they're coming home with information.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, good. Chris, that sounds good. Good luck getting her going. Snacks? That's my only input. Have some snacks.
For the parents.
For the parents. Yeah. All right, well, then we will move on to,
Thanks for coming in, guys.
yeah, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the
Sneak
20...
out to the concert too.
There's
Oh.
a concert going on.
All right, then we'll move on to the approval of the 17-18 teacher contracts.
Okay, so this is just approval of the contracts as far as approving that the teachers and eventually the support staff for the next board meeting, but the teachers will have a contract for next year. No numbers have come in as far as what we have as far as increase or anything like that. This is just a approval from the board saying that approving all of the current contracts for next school year for the 17-18 year.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 17-18 teacher contracts.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2017-18 teacher contracts. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Is this kind of a template that each one has the same pretty much contract?
Pretty much it reflects their current salary, this year's.
But I
current
mean,
salary.
if you had the contract that doesn't have all the figures, do you have like a standard contract that we could you shoot an email?
Yep, they're all here. I
Can we
brought.
get a look at them?
Yeah, you can look at them.
I mean, just, can you shoot us what? an
Like a
email?
template of one?
Yeah,
Sure.
what they look like, so.
Yep.
Okay, then we'll move on to WASB 2017 Spring Workshop.
Okay, so I just wanted to put this on there so the community is still aware of, professional development that the board is continuing to look at. And this one is the spring workshop. It's on May 17th. I think right now Nettie said she has some interest. Just wanted to put that out there if anyone's interested.
I'll probably be there.
What's that?
I'll probably be there.
Plan on? Okay.
You gonna have your corn in by then?
Yeah.
I'd like to try too. If we register but still can't make it, that doesn't screw
That's
them up
fine.
too
No,
much.
that's totally good. So it's starting at 6 and going till 8 o'clock.
And there's supper too.
Yep, supper at 6, and then the actual workshop begins at 6:30, goes till 8 in Turtle Lake. So I have a school van if you guys are interested in carpooling.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the approval of the FMLA leave.
This agenda item is just for Mrs. Carlson, one of our junior high school teachers, requesting maternity leave beginning August 30th and returning December 1st.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and double seconded that we approve the FMLA leave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move on to our bus garage concrete repair.
Okay, Mr. Hanson is with us tonight for any questions, but this is the bus garage driveway is in need of repair. There were some plumbing issues that were taken care of, and then they had to rip out some of that concrete in the driveway leading into the back of the elementary building along there. It's kind of a dirt patch now that needs to be replaced. We had a couple bids come in, and the most cost-effective bid was with the one listed there for $3,584.
Anybody have any questions on that? If none, then I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Hanson, did you have anything to add to that one, or no?
This is for concrete, what do you have there?
Yep. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? Second. Been properly moved and seconded to approve the bus garage concrete repair. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move on to the approval of elementary door replacements.
Okay, so the next two items, the first one obviously the replacement of the two doors. I have on there similar to last year, where we as we close out the budget here for this year, I'm seeking board approval pending that we have money, and then once we get to kind of the 11th hour, then I'll decide whether or not to move forward with it. So this agenda item is there are two exterior doors at the elementary building that were not replaced during the referendum. I think one door was from the 60s and one was from the 80s or 90s. So both in need of repair. And we had a couple bids. The most cost-effective bid, you can see, came back between the two doors for that $18,963.
So she go into the door business.
Yeah.
Why are we replacing those already? Aren't they pretty new, or?
No, they didn't get replaced during the referendum, so they were not taken care of during that time, and they're in need. I think one doesn't really lock at this point. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Mr. Hanson?
The one from 1967, the original building, was inadvertently left out in the architect's plans. And we had gotten a price back then to do a change order, but and that was actually the same number from Rice Lake Glass, who had the entire bid. It was roughly around $32,000 at that point. We chose not to do it at that time, but they are well overdue. The other one is the employee entrance area back by the gym. That's from 1991, and that one is, over the years, has taken an incredible amount of use and misuse, or not necessarily abuse, but it is wore out. It's just plain we've added extra support. Originally the mullion was able to be removed, and that's how we got bigger materials into the building. Now we don't need that anymore. We got the avenue in the back. That was taken out every single night during the construction. And those also are showing their time. Well, they're 20-some years old already. So those, I don't know if they were originally intended to get done in the referendum or not. I know the other ones were.
These are, I'm assuming, garage doors?
No, they're
Service doors.
Like service doors, like the metal.
Oh,
entrance
okay.
doors. They'll pretty much match with the new ones that
Okay,
didn't.
yeah, 12 feet wide.
So they cost $9,000 a piece?
No, they gave it, the whole thing, it's a package price. Actually, and the one on the end of the 4th and 5th, 6th grade wing, the 1967 ones is a double set of doors. One exterior, one interior. And they just gave, the whole thing is a lump price for both sets.
Plus they got the card readers and all that stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's expensive.
I mean, they're heavy-duty doors. If you go look where they're coming in, they're not like little house doors. They're big metal.
And they're completely custom made. They have
The glass.
extrusions that they cut to exactly the measurement that they'll come out and measure. Whoever gets the bid will remeasure exactly what they need, and then cut the glass. It's all custom made when they replace things like that.
We just have the one bid right now, or is that the only company that?
No, that's the
No, we
Actually,
one,
there's
two,
3 bids we had.
3. Yep.
Oh, here we go.
Gray Slate Glass was, we did do all of it, was over $32,000.
Of Indian head
The other
glass.
two were really close. The one included brand new electric stripes, which are about $500 a piece, so that was a better bid.
I suppose we don't have the capability to make our own door at our shop, in our tech ed department, do we?
Not yet.
No, and what you're saying, Josh, is that the approval is pending when you look at the final budget and
Correct,
all
yeah.
that, yeah. But they need to be done, it sounds like.
We've been nursing them.
Yeah.
Well, if one doesn't want it,
Both of them.
no-brainer. I move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the elementary door replacements. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then the approval of the asphalt repair for the bus garage and the bus circle.
Okay, so it's two things. One is a must, the asphalt repair, and then one is what we'd like to do, the bus circle. But the bid came in as one right now. So the asphalt is the asphalt repair is that same area leading into the back of the elementary building where the plumbing and upheaval damage took place. So that the asphalt repair is back there, and then also the bus circle in the, I don't know if that's technically the front of the elementary building there, where the buses pick up and drop off at the elementary building. There would be some repair in there as well. I can let Mr. Hanson speak to both of those.
Yeah, obviously, the one behind the bus garage is, we put a new sewer line in from the bus garage all the way to the main sewer out off of our property. So that needs to be replaced. And then the other one at the bus circle, during the referendum, that circle actually got kind of flattened out because we added on to the library. And so they stopped the new blacktop at a certain point. I believe, I think it's about 40 feet or so left over to do. And typical, the way it looks like it's typical of kind of all the other blacktop that we tore out and had to get new base in there. They 20, 30, 40 years, whenever they did it, they didn't really do an adequate job of getting a nice base in there. So this bid includes going down 12 inches. And if you look at it from the road, it's not damaged yet to where we've got potholes and such. But this would also, based on how things have been going up every year, this would get us to the level where the entire property would be at one stage. All the blacktop would be at the same kind of age, whatever. We replaced we did replace everything other than that during the referendum. So when we've been out doing 20 years from now, whatever, or this would probably have to be replaced within the next 5 years. Because it is all checked up and buses on it every day. I would. That's why I'm recommending to do it now.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion then to approve both the asphalt repair for the bus garage and the bus circle.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the asphalt repair for the bus garage and bus circle. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Well, okay, what's the total bid is 95.75, is that?
Nope, 17.
17.5.
495.
Do we have that in the budget?
Well, this is part of those last two are, as we close out the budget for this year, we'll be making that kind of
So the last two
determination.
are pending, the concrete's gonna happen.
Yeah, correct.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to the update on our policy services.
Okay, so met with a gentleman from Neola Services came in and met with me, and then I had a phone conference with WASB, and unfortunately both are more expensive than I had hoped for. Neola is a initial payment of the $12,200 and then an annual fee of $2,450 for the policy kind of overview, and then the WASB is $11,850. You could spread that over 3 years if you'd like, and then that also has an annual fee. Both annual fees kind of depend on for both companies depend on what we would, if we did go with either one, what we would choose to have within that. Kind of depends on the price. So I reached out to a couple colleagues as well, and it's a fairly decent sized mix. There are a lot of school districts that are moving towards the Neola, not as many do the WASB. I would say the majority either do Neola or they kind of work through it themselves and kind of pick at policies throughout the state to try to emulate and take and do that. So
there's not copyright.
There's Neola, there are copyrights. WASB allows you to take policies from other school districts and then try to kind of tailor it to fit your need or your whatever you want. So it's definitely more work, but you're able to kind of utilize other school districts, around the state. And I'd ask, well, my fear is that you just be picking, how do you know what school districts are using attorneys and just doing it themselves? And WASB said that they would guide us through that if we did wanted to, and allow us to, that they would send us policies from school districts around the state that they feel are the districts did a nice job kind of going through that process.
Could we get maybe one of the WSB members or have them give us a little presentation of what they would do for us as far as helping us write policies? Have them come to a meeting or something?
Yep, we could. Neola said that they would do that as well. Both would be willing to do that.
And this is why we haven't done it.
Yeah, this probably is, yeah.
Is there like another Neola, or is they're it? There's
two.
These are
that's it.
Yeah.
Monopoly.
Is Neola out of Florida?
They have I guess the CEO lives in Florida, but they're based out of Ohio.
It's a business opportunity there to start your own Neola.
Yeah.
Skip-ola.
Well, you see, when they're charging these kind of prices, though, it does indicate the level of work that's involved in doing something like this.
Yeah.
If they're getting those kind of prices.
Well, they probably have the legal stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
right.
say the legality of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That would catch the loops that you might miss
Yep,
when you're
exactly.
trying to go on your own.
So if we were to spend the money and have Neola or WASB do it once, would we be obligated to have an annual fee? Or would it be? We don't have all the resources in the world we spending on this. So let's say we got up to par, and then went forward. We've got support and we've got resources that send us policy things. I'm sure across you guys' desk that would, once we get to this level, kind of maintain that for 10 years, right? Or no?
Yeah, and WASB really does a nice job supporting, offering some of those supports. Like, I don't know if you remember but right when I transitioned in, they gave me a couple templates on the open enrollment policy because that was kind of new law that had just recently changed, that all districts had to kind of update that policy, and they provided that to us for free. So we could do two options. We could continue looking into this and bringing individuals in to talk about it, or we could try to start the process with WASB where we're not paying them anything and kind of going through the process to see if it's too much for us or if we're capable of doing it. I kind of see those as our two options.
So a lot of these policies are way outdated then.
A lot of our policies are pretty outdated, yeah.
Most of them are probably effective, but outdated.
Yeah, and I think
Or
there's,
missing.
and I think that's probably the biggest key. There's a couple,
Missing, yeah.
main policies that we're missing that I think, talking to both is pretty common for school districts. You kind of go through a phase where, talking to the Neola gentleman, he said that not that they're mandated, but he said it's best practice to have some. And he didn't look at our policy. He was just kind of talking in general with some of the districts that he was working with.
Did your district in Wausau, what did they use?
They didn't do either, to be honest.
They did their own?
Yeah.
How updated were they, or how effective were those?
They're a pretty large district, so they would, they had a policy committee that they would be frequently looking at the policy. So I would think they're pretty up to date.
Did they even have a lawyer on staff?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can go to look at other school districts and, they all follow the same series of 100 series, 200, 300, 400. It's kind of a standard fare, isn't it, for the whole state? Every school district kind of has to follow the same.
For the most part, yeah.
And then you can tailor it to your individual communities and schools.
Yep.
We could save a lot of money doing it ourselves. It's a lot of work, but that's what we're here for, right?
It is, and there's a couple districts that during these conversations, in the back of my head while I was talking with them, I was asking which districts don't contract through them and don't have the copyrights, and so I was asking some of those questions as well. So there are some districts that we could look to.
And are we already paying dues into WASB?
Yep, and that's why, like I mentioned, like last year with the open enrollment, that's why they do offer some of those things.
And if we write our own, and they'll review those, and that's part of what we pay for already, isn't it?
They will. Yep.
So that saves it.
I'd have to ask WASB if we went through our whole. I would imagine they would, because it would take us longer, I think, than like if we.
But even if we just paid to have them look through them versus write them, it'd still be a lot less expensive.
WASB offers those type of that type of support where Neola doesn't as much. WASB has a lot more flexibility, it looks like, but they're more hands off with. They're not going to come on site and. You pay the big dollars, I think, with Neola because they come on site multiple times. They give you templates, and then you go through the template and insert your information into it.
Well, I just know at that last meeting up at Spooner, they were kind of touting all the things that WASB does for you, and that was one of the things that they thought was valuable. Will help you do that too. So.
I got the feeling that WASB is kind of upping their game a little bit, because I think Neola is starting to. I think they have like 200 of the 422 districts contracting through Neola. So he walked me through a webinar where he accessed had a login and he accessed my computer, and we kind of watched it together while he was on the phone with me, and I could ask him questions, and so I'd be comfortable starting with the WASB and going down that road. I would ask that we wait until this summer, because right now it's with closing out the budget and then building the next year's budget, it's kind of a busier time.
Could we have one of them guys come in and talk to him then? Like, get a meeting, or
I can ask him. I know for sure he'd do a phone conference.
Well, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Because I know they're based out of Madison, but I can ask.
So if we had any questions or something.
Yep.
Maybe they have a
let's get her
webinar.
done.
Yeah,
Maybe
or
they have a
something we could just
webinar
look
or
on there.
something.
So, yeah.
Okay.
You could go to.
All right. I like it. All right, any other things on the policy services? And we'll move on to our superintendent notes, Mr. Joshua R. Ernst.
All right, we are in the home stretch of the year. Weather is nice and a lot of things happening. So we have Mr. Gillis and Mr. Peterson talked about the Earth Day in the district, so I won't touch on that. We had the friendship games happening in the district. It's my interpretation of it. It's almost like the equivalent to Special Olympics in the district. We hosted friendship games and had, I believe, 9 or 10 school districts represented, along with Clear Lake District here at the high school, and it was neat to see, again, very similar to Earth Day, where you have this not Earth Day, friendship games, where you have a sporting, almost like a track and field kind of day for students with special needs, and then you have a lot of our high school regular ed staff, or students that were part of it as well. We had our band out there playing. We had kids doing all kinds of different activities with these students with special needs within our district and outside of the district. So a large event, and our staff really did a really nice job with it. Ms. Powers over at the elementary headed it up, and then our special ed staff all as well were part of the process. And we luckily had beautiful weather, which didn't hurt either. So it was a nice, neat thing to see, and a neat thing to be a part of in the district.
Is that something that rotates schools? Or?
It rotates, I think the last time we had it was 10 or 11 years ago.
I was going to say, I didn't remember.
It's been a long time. I don't believe it's just CESA 11. I think it's whoever wants to be a part of it, but it's, for the most part, it's kind of our surrounding areas. But there River Falls was in it. I mean, Ellsworth. There were some districts that stretched a ways out. But it wasn't just limited to CESA 11. It was, I believe it's whoever wants to be a part of it. So they cycle it through all of, I don't know if it's 15 schools, so if it's every 15 years. So it's been a while since we've hosted, but it was a huge success. We had Staff Appreciation Week, so a lot of different things going on in the building. From PTO had some stuff for the staff. The Resorts had some dilly bars for the staff. And we did some internal stuff for the staff as well, so it was nice to show the appreciation for our staff. They really do a nice job in both buildings. Forward testing is finally done, and then we have a lot of stuff that's coming up. We had a baseball game tonight. The boys baseball team is first in the conference. They just played the second team in the conference, and it sounds like they beat them fairly easily. I've been told that we're ranked just recently. We were ranked 5th in the state, and it sounds like we just got bumped up to ranked 3rd in the state, and we're on a 16-game winning streak as of tonight. The girls played well tonight, but ended up losing against Bruce. But we have a good turnout for the girls softball team as well. Tomorrow we have the boys play Flambeau at home, so we have another home baseball game tomorrow night. The Aspire testing begins, and the AP testing continues this week. PTO Family Fun Night tomorrow. We have a concert. Tonight, choir pop concert that's going on right now. On Friday, we have Festival of the Nations. The 4th graders do the Festival of the Nations, so that starts at 1:15. If you guys are interested in joining the 4th graders and their presentations. The Battle of the Buses we have on this Saturday at Cedar Lake. This will be my first experience with this. So it begins at 6 o'clock. Our tech ed teacher, Mr. Larson, and a whole crew of kids in different classes transformed a bus. I don't know if you've seen it in the back. It's now painted white, and Mr. Larson will be driving that in the Derby. We have a band pop concert on next week, Monday at 7 p.m. We host a conference track meet on Tuesday, the 16th. We have the elementary track and field day on the 17th, Wednesday next week. That's grades 1 through 3, I'm sorry, in the morning, grades 4 through 6 in the morning, and then grades 1 through 3 in the afternoon. So it goes from 9 to 11:30, and then from 12:30 to 3. On Thursday, we have the baccalaureate and senior awards night. Seniors' last day on the 19th, and then graduation on that 21st at 2 p.m. So a lot of different things. And then there's also some spring events sprinkled in there that I'm not even going to pretend that I know when they are, because they're getting switched and moved around due to weather. So a lot of stuff as we kind of wind down the school year. So
That baseball program, that's pretty incredible.
they're doing really, really well. Yeah.
That's a program, I think 3 years ago, we were rallying to try to find enough kids to
Yes.
play. Was it
That's
about 3
3.
years
Yeah.
ago?
Wow.
Well, for
Wow.
school, our size to have 7
4.
pitchers that we can pitch.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That wins high school baseball.
Yeah.
And you got pitchers.
I think it was 4 years. We
Any kind of baseball.
didn't barely have a team, and 3 years ago we didn't win, but maybe 1 game or
Yeah,
something.
so then
And it was
4
just,
years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was Isaac and Nate's freshman year, I think, was when they didn't think they were going to have a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to be ranked third in the state, pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Okay, well, thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Any future agenda items that we would like to throw on the agenda?
I'll have to support staff contracts on there for sure. Also, I'll probably have we've been researching new elementary curriculum for the ELA program over there, our contract. What?
Business ed.
Oh, and possibly, yep, a business ed contract.
Probably summer school contract.
Summer school contracts,
Sorry.
yeah. Thank you.
Shnikes.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll move on to our contemplated closed session, where I get to thank you guys for coming in, joining in the fun. In accordance to WSS 19.85, paragraph 1F, concerning financial, medical, social, or personal histories of disciplinary data of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against a specific person, except where paragraph B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigation. We're going to review an expulsion hearing, and I will pull the board. Nettie?
Yes.
Skip? Myself, yes. Pete?
Yes.
David? Yep. We are in closed session. Return to open. We are in open. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.